أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Welcome. Just at the beginning, these are few words that I always like to read. First word is from Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, who was the cousin of the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet had prayed for him to have tafaqquh fil Qur'an. So he was one of the first interpreters of the Qur'an. So he says, do not scatter the Qur'an as if it were dates falling from a tree. When we are not conscious, abundance feels cheap, as if it's not valuable anymore. So he said, do not scatter the Qur'an as if it were dates falling from a tree, nor recite it quickly as if it were poetry. Stop at its wonders and let it move your hearts. Let not your concern be reaching the end of the surah. And the second one is from Ibn Abbas radiallahu anh. He says, فَمَنِ اسْتَمَعَ آيَةً مِنْ كِتَابِ اللَّهِ كَانَتْ لَهُ نُورًا يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. If you listen, but we will look at what istama'a means in Arabic, because sometimes it's difficult to translate a word with all its connotation. So if you listen carefully, with attention, with the heart, to an ayah, even one ayah, that ayah will be a light for you on the day of resurrection. And we can confirm this because if we read the Qur'an in the way they were taught to read and interact with it in their way, then each ayah that we are familiar with, we interact with, will become a light and a companion in this world before Akhirah. The closest one word that could make the concept of ayah close to our minds is maybe signposts. So maybe if you ever went around on campus here in the DCA, you saw some signposts. So you see the signpost, you may just pass, you may read them, and for instance it says cultural center, it says mosque, and if you need to pray, then if you're looking for that place, you look for it more intentionally. And when you see the one with the word mosque in it, what do? We read, we understand, and we follow. So following is also a word that occurs in the Qur'an and in the Hadith. So we follow the sign, and it takes us to, lo and behold, to the mosque. So the signpost and the words in it are related to the mosque, but they are not the mosque. So that's a sign, an indication. In Arabic, another word for ayah, well, if you look at the dictionary, it will say alama. So alama is like an indication. And alama is related to the same root as ilm, knowledge, and alam, the world. The world is known to us through the alamat, through the indications. And when you say to teach in Arabic, you say allama, again the same root. Allama can mean to teach. It can also mean to put alamat, to put signs, to make known. So the signs are very important in order to get knowledge about something. And the word ayah in the Qur'an is repeated 382 times. So it gives us an idea about how important it is. So the word ayah refers to, first, the miracles of the prophets are called ayah. They are not called mu'jiza. They are not called miracle. They're called ayah, signs. So if it is a sign, the first thing that comes to our mind is a sign to what? And the second way it's used in the Qur'an is signs to everything in the creation. All creatures, all beings, all events are also called signs. So they are signs to what? And the third one is the units of the Qur'an. So usually translated as verse. But in Arabic, the word verse, if you say verses of poetry, is bayt, it's not ayah. So actually it is an unusual way to describe a unit of a text. Now we got used to it because it's always associated automatically with the Quran. But in fact, if you have a poem in Arabic, you say this is a verse, you don't say this is an ayah, a sign. So I will use sign but ayah as well, so that somehow the word ayah is going to be filled with our new understanding, our new realization, inshallah. What's the relationship between the ayat of the Quran and the ayat in the creation? It's because the ayat in the Quran, the text, the verses, let's say, they talk about events that occur in the world as ayats. So an ayah is a sign. It means it's indicating something beyond. You remember the signpost? It says mosque, it means it's indicating the building, although it is not the building itself. They explain each other. The ayat of the Qur'an explain to us and clarify, as we are told in the Qur'an, God clarifies to you the ayat of the Qur'an. Why do we need to know the ayat of the Qur'an? Because they explain the world to us. And once we understand and witness what's happening in the world, we go back and say, yes, this is true. Think of it as a map. If I have a map and it's telling me like a map of the campus or something, I go and I find everything as is indicated in the map. I go back and I say this map is correct. Like even the distance, everything is correct. So I go back and confirm the truth of the Qur'an. So it's like a map, but a map to the meaning of the world. A meaning that we cannot have access to unless we are told what it is. It has to be explained. If we have a map, it's made after signs. We read the map and we follow. If I read the map and I'm sitting in my home and never go out, or I'm sitting here and never go out, I cannot understand what the map is talking about, and I cannot go back and say, yes, I know now this is a map of this, and it's a true map. So it has to be read, understood, followed. And the following is taking action. So this is a part from the Qur'an, a unit from the Qur'an. It is an ayah. It means it is a sign. How is it a sign? A sign to what? We want to understand what's an ayah. This is important because when we are reading this, we need to read it as sign, not as a text only. So how do I read this passage? As a sign. It says, do you not see that God sends down water from the sky? There are two ways of reading this. I can assume, oh yeah, of course, I am a Muslim. I believe in God. God created everything. Sure, he must have sent rain. Pass. Next. Did I read a sign? Actually, I didn't even read anything. Some of us may say, if you know something about how the clouds come together, so, oh yes, science says this. So there is much more than we think here. And especially that if it is repeated again and again, then if I keep just passing and assuming, then I'm not taking it seriously. I'm not aware of what I'm doing. The starting of the reading of the sign is pause. When we are honest and when we take the Qur'an seriously, because the Qur'an is God speaking, that's taken for granted at the beginning. God is speaking to who? To me, to you, to us, and for a specific purpose. The purpose of life, the meaning of life as it pertains to akhirah, telling us, look around you, everything is dying, the world is temporary, it is transient. The more we interact with the Qur'an, the more we realize that it is primordial, it is the most important thing in life. Everything else is secondary or can only have meaning if it serves that purpose. But if I just pause, God is speaking to me. Do you not see that God sends down the rain? Is repeated again and again in the Qur'an. Why? When I pause, I realize that I don't see it. If I don't see it, then I say, what's going on? So we'll go back. That's when the reading of the Qur'an will start. If you look at the Qur'an, part of the reading includes tadabbur. It says iqra, but how we perform the reading, it says, will they not contemplate the Qur'an? And tadabbur is something to do with the heart. Will they not contemplate the heart? Do they have locks on their hearts? And when we run away and we don't stay with the text, it's because we're feeling uncomfortable, uneasy, because like I'm claiming something, but actually I'm feeling something else. So I don't even want to face my feelings. So the feelings are coming from the heart. The heart is saying, no, you're claiming something, but actually you're feeling something else. The Qur'an needs to be contemplated. It means the heart is involved in this process of reading. The next one, لِآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. That's repeated again and again. God makes his ayat clear to you so that you may reflect on them. Tafakkur is reflection. It's not just thinking. There is yaqilun, which is reasoning, but I can't reason without listening. I cannot reason with what I know myself. So I'm not reading the Qur'an. I'm putting my own assumptions on the text. When you reflect, you will see that Allah explains them to us. So they are ayat, not for everyone, for anyone who reads. So to know the words, to study the text is necessary, yet it is not sufficient. It is necessary because that's where we start. That's our field. Those are the seeds, but those seeds need to be grown, cultivated in the heart. So it is a map. It is telling us how to read the world, because the world is not created in vain, without purpose, without meaning. We can say, usually we say, to make God known. But to make God known, is it related to me? So what if I know? I know lots of people say, has nothing to do with me. That's because of our delusion that I exist independently. And that feeling is not based on facts. It's only my assumption. But it's a false assumption, because I depend on everything. Right now, I cannot breathe myself. I am made to breathe. I'm made to see. I'm made to hear. I'm made to understand. None of these are under our control, as we are told again and again in the Qur'an. He gives you sight, He gives you this, and they are under His control. What if He takes them away? What can you do? And I look at myself. What can I do? Nothing. Yes, I prostrate. You are telling the truth. But if I read it and never take it inside, then I forget about that ayah. And I live my life as though I exist independently. But in fact, right now, I am being sustained. If the one who sustains me has control over everything, I'm relieved. If He is compassionate, oh, alhamdulillah. Because if He's not, if I'm not sure, if I don't know Him, then I'm always in fear and anxiety without even realizing it. Because I'm not in control, and I don't know who is in control. It feels very unsettling. What this ayah is pointing to, indicating, when I stay with it and listen to the impact it has in my heart. When I'm listening to the ayah, what does it mean? The words are coming, they are like seeds thrown in my heart, and now I am listening to them. The more humility, the more surrender, otherwise there is rebellion. Oh, why? And then we don't see the reality, because I'm fighting. But if I stay and calm down and just listen and see, it's true. I love everything that is around me. And then we are told how seldom you are grateful. We are always focused on what's missing. Why didn't you give me this? Why is this happening in the world? What about all the good things that are happening? Oh no, those have nothing to do with God in my perception. And look at 10:24. It's about the transience as well. The first one was also about transience, right? Everything is fleeting, is ephemeral. Today it's here, tomorrow it may not be. And the second one also, the life of this world is like this. Rain that we send down from the sky. So again, it's a parable. It's absorbed by the plants of the earth. Remember, this month, a few weeks ago, it was very hot. The lawns were all dry. And then it rained, there was a storm, and suddenly it grew very fast. And then it's absorbed by the earth, from which humans and animals eat. But when the earth has taken on its finest appearance and adorns itself, and its people think they have power over it, I mean, we are growing it, right? I am the one growing it. Then the faith we commended comes to it by night or by day, and we reduce it to stubble. It doesn't have to be something special happening. All the beautiful flowers will wither, and they will die, and they fall, right? As if it had not flourished just the day before. So that beautiful flower, yesterday there was a flower, today there is nothing. So it says, this is the way we explain the ayat for those who reflect. Again, everything is transient. Yet, our biggest problem is blackout transience. Otherwise, we would not be able to live the way we are living, in total heedlessness of our true purpose of being here. And we would not be able to forget that yesterday is not here, this morning is not here, this evening is not here yet. There is only now. We forget this. And it seems like it's oppressing us because we don't stay with it. If we stay with it under the guidance of the Qur'an, and we know that it's an ayah, actually we will see that it is liberating. Because that now is an eternal now. It connects us to the eternal one right here and now. Because if everything is flowing, passing, then suddenly we realize that it is coming from somewhere. Those beautiful flowers and things are being made, they are being gifted, they are being sent. It means someone is sending. They go, new ones come. That fear starts leaving. Oh, this is even better than I thought. It's better than having the same flower stay there forever. We have new flower, new different flowers, and we are told there will be a new creation. Then now it's much more meaningful. If only we have the patience and the surrender to accept the reality, make peace with it, and wait for the ayah. The ayah here, stay with transience. Everyone is going to leave this. كل نفس ذائقة الموت. Every soul, every being tastes death. Actually is tasting death now. Every day we're tasting it. We go to sleep, we wake up. How many years we lived? It's all gone. If I am consciously tasting death, because death is not nothingness. Death is a new creation. It's making room for a new creation. And if I'm growing spiritually, getting closer to God, then I'm looking forward to that death where there will be no veil and I'm directly in paradise with God. Start. Just read. Usually we wait for a disruption coming from outside, a crisis, an illness, and then we say what's going on. But we are taught and told to do this in good times. Do it systematically, consciously. Learn how to read the Qur'an, and through the Qur'an read your life consciously, systematically, with sincerity, with surrender. And then if a crisis happens, it's not a crisis anymore. Like Yusuf alayhi salam. For us reading, it's a big crisis. For him, he is always muhsin. He's always in a state of ihsan. It means always in the presence. He feels in the presence of God, in the presence of the divine. So even if he is sad, his sadness doesn't last forever. The sadness comes as an ayah. It's bringing a message to him. So you listen, feel it, stay with it, and listen. Just like the food, the flower is speaking, the food speaks to us as we are told in the Qur'an, then that anger or sadness or something will speak to me. It could be that it's totally unfounded and I find myself, I have so many false assumptions about things. Or it could be based on reality, but it doesn't mean I stay there forever. It's saying, okay, so now what do I do? And I ask, what do I do? I need guidance. When we are not reading like this, I think I know what I do. I have everything planned, my career, my food, what everything must do in my life. Even if my children would listen to me, I would tell them exactly what to do. And even my neighbors and like the people I know, if they listen to me, I will tell them exactly what to do. In fact, I don't know for myself for sure what's good for me. And when I become aware of that, then I feel the need for divine guidance. Reading in Arabic assumes understanding. Qira'ah, when it says Iqra bismi rabbika, it means you understand. There are two ways of looking at the world. One is without the Qur'an, automatically, and because it's automatic and we all agree, it seems like it's universal, and so we never question it. It seems like it's, let's call it the horizontal, and this is the vertical way. So horizontally is me and something is happening out there, and cause and effect, and that's what we see first. So the point is not that there is an order and a relationship between the two. We are not denying that. That's what we see. The horizontal here, it takes this and builds on it. There is something more, which is, and it starts with questioning. Can the sun grow the seed? All these questions are in the Qur'an. It says it is itself being created. How can it create something else? It is itself transient. How can it? Does it have, it says, does it have power? Does it have intelligence? Does it have knowledge? Does it have wisdom? Do you know what it takes to grow a seed? What does it take to grow a seed? For the seed to exist, not only to grow, you need the air, you need gravity, you need the world, you need the seasons, you need the solar system, you need the Milky Way, you need everything. Why? Because everything is interconnected. Can I exist? It seems I'm independent. Can I exist without air? Can I exist if there is no air, no earth, no food, no this, no that? Everything is interconnected. Therefore, to create or produce one tiny effect, one single atom, you need to be able to know and control and have power over the whole thing. So when here they see the cause and effect, science and we, when we are in ghafla, in heedlessness, when we have not learned the way of the Qur'an, we say this made this, this produced this. Without this, this wouldn't exist. Without water, the plant doesn't grow. This means only one who gives life, who has power, who controls everything, can control everything, who has wisdom encompassing in everything, who has knowledge, that one can make this and create a bird from an egg, can create life from lifeless water. This is what the Qur'an teaches us. It doesn't deny this. It says this is, read it, question your perception. Is it true? And then we find that it is an ayah. It means it points to something else. It points to the beautiful names of what we will call God. You see, now God is not an empty word. God now is, I witnessed He's giving life, especially if you see the birds coming from the sea. It's a miracle. It's amazing. Children love it. I remember as a kid seeing, we were so amazed and going behind the ducks and chickens. When you know this is God, your Rabb, the one who sustains the birds, sustains you, now God is not an unknown entity. It is a reality. It's close to me. The more awe I feel, the more I love the beauty, the more I love Him. Here, our love for God is like air, like water for the soul. For the ruh, it's like the body needs air and water. The heart and the soul, we need God. We need to know Him, to love Him, to feel close to Him. So, in order to get a hint or what an ayah is, I thought of these disjointed letters, al-huruf al-muqatta'a. It's very interesting. These letters, they appear always at the beginning of the surahs. Beginning of surah is always important. It gives you an idea, a hint about what's coming. They appear 29 times. It means about a quarter of the surahs. Why we call them disjointed, muqatta'a? Because normally when you are reciting something or reading out loud, we sound the letters. When it comes to the letters, we don't sound them, we name them as if we're spelling. You know, instead of saying alam, we say alif, lam, mim. And so alif is the name. It's like a, l, am. We are not saying la, ma. So when I see these letters, there are two ways, two attitudes. I can just say, okay, alif, lam, mim, ta, sin, mim, and I don't understand, pass. But if my intention is to read the Qur'an, it means I am keeping in mind that God is speaking to me here now through this. Then I may pass once, twice, third, but afterwards it's coming again and again. If it's coming again and again, it means pay attention. Something important is going on. And when we pay attention to the ayat of the Qur'an, can you see in 2:1, in 32:1 in Surah Al-Sajda, alif, lam, mim, izan, these three letters constitute an ayah. It's an ayah on its own. So I say, how come these letters, I don't understand them? Lots of people said lots of things, but at the end of the day, we can't be sure. There are even some letters that we used in our dua because of the Prophet ﷺ, like Hamim or Tasin, Qaf, Ain. But we can't be sure about their meanings. But there is one thing for sure, it's an ayah. Alif, Lam, Mim is an ayah. Since it's an ayah, I read it as an ayah. It means I read the letters, and the letters, remember the ayat, the words, the meanings are like seeds to be cultivated. So they become vehicles to something else, something that will grow. Here I can't do that. I can't pretend I understood. So I have to stay. And when I stay, how do I feel? I ask myself. I It's very strange, therefore very unsettling. And I ask Allah, what's going on? What are these letters? If I'm patient enough, after a while, I feel like there is no way I can figure this out. Lo and behold, this is my reality. Even when I know all the words, it doesn't mean that I understand. In order to understand the ayah, you have to ask. In the Qur'an again and again, it says, يُبَيِّنُ الْآيَاتِ. He explains the ayah to you. Remember, to whom? To those لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. Those who reflect, Allah will make it clear to them. So the ayah always, like everything else, has two aspects. The aspects that we see. So here there is no word so that I claim understanding, yet I stay with it as an ayah and I feel that I cannot understand. In fact, this is the normal way. I don't understand. What do you mean, Allah? Tell me. And then I stay with and I feel that how can I understand? My knowledge is so limited. All my resources are limited. My seeing is limited. How much of the spectrum can we see or hear? There are so many noises that we can't hear. And before that, it felt like, of course, I read, I understand. I look, I see. It's not true. There are so many things right now that we can't see because of our limitation. So suddenly I become aware of my limitation. Somehow it feels like wake up and putting me back in my place. You are the receiver. You are not creating anything. We live in the delusion that it is ours. That's why we can't feel that overwhelm of gratitude towards the gifter. So this is actually the real me. I don't understand. And that's why we say, سُبْحَانَكَ لَا عِلْمَ لَنَا إِلَّا مَا عَلَّمْتَنَا. We have no knowledge except that which you teach us. This is true for everything. So now it's a very nice way to start the surah. Puts me back in my place. I am now aware that I'm very limited. I know only what I'm inspired with, what is disclosed to me. And I am now, first I'm aware of my need to understand, my need to listen, and this is my God, my Rabb, the one who makes me see and understand and everything. He is the one speaking. So now there is lots of humility now. And humility is like honesty. Honesty and humility are necessary to listen to the Qur'an. And we listen with the heart. You see how it is an ayah? It reminded me, it made me feel something that is my reality. It's a lived experience. When I say Alif Lam Mim, at least I feel that in a state of prostration. Now I feel that if anything comes to me, it is ascending from God. It's not from me. It's not I understand. I am made to understand. Like it says in the Qur'an for Sulaiman alayhi salam, فَفَهَمْنَاهَا. We granted understanding to him. We made him understand. It's the only time that to understand is used in the Qur'an. You were saying, what about the others? Understand that we read in translation? They are not fahama, not understand. So you see here in Surah Al-Sajda, it says Alif Lam Mim, the sending down of the book. Now I can already feel that yes, it is sent down. It's not from me. Otherwise, I read the sending down, but like the book is here with me. The more I read the Qur'an like this, the more the heart opens up and it healed. It becomes a sound heart, qalbun salim. And remember the Prophet ﷺ says, there is one thing in the body, if it's diseased, then everything is diseased. And this is not only for our physical health, but more about our emotional and spiritual health, the heart. And this is a healing for the believers, we are told the Qur'an. It is guidance for the surrenderers, للمسلمين. So here, this is an important point. We are told when the Qur'an is read, إذا قرأ القرآن. So Qur'an means قراءة Qur'an, the recitation. Actually, when the Qur'an is read, pay attention and listen quietly. So this pay attention and listen quietly, you will see it translated differently because it's difficult to translate. I'll tell you why. لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ, so that you may be graced with rahmah, with mercy. And this listen and then follow is also something you find in the Qur'an. But let's go to the listen, pay attention and listen. In Arabic it sounds like both words means listen, but with different connotations. The first one is istima', istami'u. The second one is insat, ansitu. So ansitu here means stop anything that distracts you. That's why it says listen, pay attention, listen quietly. It means stop anything else, stop talking, start looking at things. Stop anything that is distracting you. Put all your attention, but it's still a part of the process of listening. Like in normal spoken Arabic, when you say ansit, it means listen. But listen, pay attention, leave everything else. And the first one, istami'u, is telling us how we make istami'u, how we listen. Istami'u is to focus your hearing and your heart on it. Listening with the heart means, how does it feel? What's going on? How do we do this? By leaving all distraction. I cannot listen to my heart when I'm listening if I'm thinking of other things. So all my attention is there. Then Rahmah will come. All the guidance is Rahmah, the healing is Rahmah, all the beautiful names of God is Rahmah. Our certainty about Akhirah, here and now, is Rahmah. The meaning, the beauty of transience, realizing that transience is the gate, the window onto eternity. Isn't that huge Rahmah? It's a huge miracle. I see it as transience, as like going to a monster. We're always running away, and it's coming. Time doesn't wait for us, doesn't stop. But actually, if I just stop running away and stay, it's a friend. It's saying, come, jump, this is the way to eternity. Here and now you can see eternity in everything. Look at the flow, endless flow of everything. Look at the abundance of everything. So in this ayah, we are told that the Qur'an is hidden and protected in the book. It is indeed a noble Qur'an, a recitation at the same time. إنه قرآن كريم في كتاب مكنون. مكنون means hidden, to protect, hiding in order to protect. So no one may touch it except the purified. Remember at the beginning there was no mushaf, no book out there. People were writing, but they were scrolls. So it was a recitation. People were memorizing the Quran mostly. Ascending down from Rabbul Alameen, from the Rabb of all worlds. So it's to do with the purification here. If I read an ayah, if I'm stuck here, then I don't see any rahmah. It doesn't transform me. It doesn't change my life. It's just a new information. I may even forget it unless I have a good memory. If I think I'm listening, but still I don't get anything, either I'm not listening at all, I'm not listening, or I am reading, trying to read, but I am not surrendering, or I have assumptions about life, and when it doesn't fit the Quran, I see something that I don't like, I say what's going on, so I'm trying to fit the Quran into my assumptions. That's why through the process of reading the Quran, I need to be conscious. Awareness is, it is a process of growth, a process of tazkiyah, of purification from my false assumption, convictions, beliefs that I never was even aware that I had. If I don't do the purification, I will not touch the Quran. It won't come to me because I'm blocked. I am the one blocking it, it is not coming. I read the sign, and suddenly, because I have a need, because I am hungry, because I'm looking for something, I'm already prepared, then it has an effect on me immediately. That's why we need the humility, the honesty, all that is to prepare ourselves. And the Alif Lam Mim at the beginning was a process of preparing me. What are you all, you think you understand, you think this, you think that. Just cool down, sit down, we're there. So it gives me guidance and shows me the path, leads me to the path to food, the path to food for the soul, the rahmah, the healing, the guidance. And unless I go to the DCA cafe, I don't know what DCA cafe is. But I say, but I read it. No, you read it, but you didn't go there. You read the whole Quran 10 times. Doesn't matter. You didn't go there. You didn't experience the rahmah and the healing. And I went to the cafe, but I didn't eat the food. Again, I saw the building, and I didn't eat all the food. So each time I read, I am going to experience rahmah from a different perspective, healing from a different perspective, a new dish. And even the same dish, different days with different friends, is going to taste differently. So it means that it is necessary to study the language, to read what others, how have they benefited, other tafasirs, people's, how they, like you shared with us, Yunus Emra, how he read Ayat. All those are going to be, he's teaching us how to cook. It doesn't mean I have the recipes of other people. It doesn't mean that I can cook or I have eaten the food. I still have to come here and do the work myself. And when I do this work, then wherever I look, I see ayah, I see the names of God. We are told the east and the west belong to God. Wherever you turn, there is the face of God. God is all-encompassing, all-knowing. So there were some verses in the Qur'an, like Ayat, saying, we have sent down the book to you, making all things clear as guidance and mercy and good news. Bushra. Can you see? Guidance, mercy, rahmah, and good news for whom? Al-Muslimin, those who surrender. And it says we have sent down the Qur'an, with the Qur'an, that which is healing and rahmah and mercy for the believers. It heals the heart. When the heart heals, the body starts healing. And our illnesses could be illnesses of the heart, like sadness, grievances, resentments. All these things will start healing when we know our true purpose on earth. And then what that person said, didn't say, it may have a meaning. If I can't make meaning of it, what's the point in holding onto it for years? Because it's a small part of my life. So instead of resenting that person, how about, wouldn't you want to be forgiven? We are told in the Qur'an. So forgive. Even if you were right, because we are not sure we are right. Let's say I was right. Still, forgive. Pray for that person. Wouldn't I like others to forgive me and pray for me? So there lots of healing happens then for the believers. And so I said يفهمون, which is the standard they understand, is not used in the Qur'an. Only once, and it's used in فهمة, to make understand, for Sulaiman alayhi salam. Usually what is translated as understand, they understand, is either يعقلون, which is used I think 49 times in the Qur'an, or more often يفقهون, which is 19 times. When it comes to the Qur'an and the ayat, is يفقهون. This يفقهون, which is translated as who understand, we are told in Surah 6, Ayah 98, it is He who has first produced you from a single soul, then has given you a place to stay and a resting place, it means after death. We have made our ayat clear to those لِقَوْمٍ يَفْقَهُونَ. So I'll tell you why it's different. In another ayah, I say, we see how we explain our ayat in various ways so that they may يفقهون, understand. فهم in Arabic is to understand the meaning of the language. Literal meaning is فهم. يفهم, فهم, يفهم. فقه, يفقه is more a step ahead to understand the intention of the speaker. You understand, of course, the words, but also you need to understand the intention of the speaker when he's speaking these words. What is the purpose in saying it to me? Who is speaking? To whom? For what purpose? That's يفقهون. It's not يفهمون. So it answers our mistake. I can't stay here and make faqah. I have to go because the speaker is God. If I can't go back to God and ask God, then I cannot understand. How can I claim or even think, imagine that I can understand what God is telling me without His help? And it means I don't know what ayah is. I say, I saw this, everyone is talking about DCA, about the building, how pretty the ceiling is, about the food, and I am like, oh yes, DCA. If they ask me, I've only seen the sign. I've only read the signpost. Or I say, how do you like it? I saw it, it doesn't look nice. Like the signpost I didn't like, for instance. Why are you saying it's so nice and so big? No, it was a small thing. So we read all this awliya, and they are talking about this rahmah, the miracles, and say, where are the miracles? Can't you say war everywhere? This yafqahun involves the heart. How do we know that? Because in the Qur'an, again and again, it says, like in 179, there are people who have hearts with which they fail to understand. That understand is yafqahun. لهم قلوب لا يفقهون بها. It also says لا يعقلون, again translated as understand, because you reason with the heart, therefore you understand with the heart. And eyes with which they fail to see, ears with which they fail to hear. They are like cattle, no, they are even further astray. Those are the one who are the ghafilun, the heedless. They live in ghafla. They think they know and understand, they don't. When they see only outward. They don't see that the rain evaporating and coming is a sign to divine attributes. In 63:3, it says, because they profess faith and then reject it, their hearts have been sealed and they do not understand. لا يفقهون. So when the heart is sealed, you can't understand. The more we go through this process of reading, listening with the heart, humility, awareness, honesty, the Qur'an becomes a beloved companion, a teacher. Each ayah becomes like a teacher, a guide, an angel. In the Qur'an, we are told there are many signs in the heavens and the earth, many ayat, that they pass by and give no heed to. In Surah Yunus 10:31 and 32. Say, who provides for you from the sky and the earth? How many times do you think about who provides for me? Of course, the one who gets the salary. It feels that way. It says no. Even if we had all the money in the world, but there is no food, no water, that money will have no value. Who controls hearing and sight? Of course, me. I close my eyes, I open my eyes. It seems, but it's true. Who brings forth the living from the dead and the dead from the living? And who governs everything? They are sure to say, it is God. Say, so why then do you not take heed of him? Why do you keep forgetting him? Why he doesn't have no place in your life? You're busy with everything else. The next ayah says, that is God, your Rabb, the truth, Rabbukum al-Haq. Apart from the truth, what is there except error? Anything else you are focused on cannot be what deserves being focused on. So how is it that you lose sight of the truth? And I chose this because it's the shortest, because there are huge passages about, you tell them who creates the heaven and the earth, they say God. The malakut of everything, they say God. And each time he says, why are you so deluded? Why are you grateful to God then? Since he creates everything. So there are lots of passages like that. And it speaks, you feel it's speaking to me. The one who is saying this knows me very well. But it's also a reminder. So, ayat, I hear they come from God. If I have a little bit of seriousness, then I say, if they come from God. Like if we have a letter, a message from someone you care about, you don't leave it there for next month I will read it. Immediately you go and want to. But we have the Qur'an sitting there. We have the Mus'haf actually. But if we have a little bit, if we start a step at a time, you will realize that light from the Qur'an, that guidance from the Qur'an transforms everything else we do. Everything becomes meaningful. Everything becomes potential worship, potential means to know God and to prepare for akhirah. It's not like leave everything. No, you learn the way to transform everything for akhirah. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وارنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه آمين والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين لله الفاتحة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان